First up, a tense standoff in South Korea as authorities attempted to arrest, impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol over his failed martial law declaration, only to put it off for the time being. The dramatic events unfolded at his official residence, raising questions about democracy and accountability in the nation.
South Korean investigators have called off their attempt to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol after a 6-hour standoff at his residence. The confrontation involving Yoon's Presidential Security Service and military personnel ended with authorities citing safety concerns for their withdrawal. The scene outside Yoon's residence was chaotic. About 2,700 police officers and 135 buses formed barricades as hundreds of Yoon's supporters, including far-right activists and evangelical preachers, gathered in protest, chanting slogans like "Illegal warrant is invalid." Inside, investigators faced off with security forces protecting Yoon. Negotiations failed, and the Corruption Investigation Office eventually declared the arrest effectively impossible due to the risk of escalation.
I question whether the issuance of such an illegal warrant aligns with the principles of the rule of law. It is our position that this unlawful arrest warrant request is illegal and invalid. The declaration of martial law is a power granted to the President under the Constitution. The President exercised this authority legitimately as part of their duty to protect the constitutional order of the nation.
Meanwhile, South Korea's Constitutional Court announced it will hold its first arguments in Yoon's impeachment trial on January 14. The President is required to appear in court for the session. A second hearing is scheduled for January 16 in case of non-compliance. Yoon's arrest warrant, valid until Monday, now hangs in limbo. His legal team has also challenged the warrant in the Constitutional Court. While Yoon supporters rallied for his survival, anti-Yoon demonstrators clashed nearby, accusing him of dragging the nation into political chaos. Yoon, suspended from duty following his impeachment by lawmakers, faced his controversial December 3 martial law declaration. If convicted, he could face imprisonment or even the death penalty. Despite ignoring 3 summons for questioning, Yoon remains defiant, vowing to fight authorities. Nancy Baloda's report for DD India.
So, unprecedented circumstances right now in Seoul, in South Korea. Let's try and process them, understand what's really happening, what it means for that nation. Professor Jitendra Uttam joins us from the Center of East Asian Studies at the School of International Studies in Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi. Well, good afternoon to you, Professor. What do you make of what's happening? Because we've heard in the past of human shields during warfare, but here in this case, it seems that a human and a security shield have been used to prevent the arrest of the impeached president.
Yeah, this is, I think, unprecedented for outside viewers. But in Korea, the politics is divided, not from today, but when Korea was divided, there is a massive political polarization in Korea. And that polarization is now expressed in the form of progressives at the one side and the conservatives at the other side. And here you can see that the progressives who are not in the power, they are trying to impeach the president, and I think the Constitutional Court, which has now filled the positions, but it will take time. And the other side is a very powerful conservative lobby. Even the chaebols, the business, big business is supporting them. They are there. So this standoff divides Korea from the middle. That the nation was divided, even the public opinion is divided. When President Yoon, he was elected, the margin was very thin that he got elected. So there is a considerable number of people in Korea, they opposed him. So in this background, now when the president's popularity went very low, he was not able to function properly. He understood that he can resort to the old practices that the Park Chung-hee and the others they did before. However, the Korean society has changed a lot, and the civil society in Korea has become very powerful. So he could not succeed in his attempt to impose martial law in Korea, but the bigger problem is that the parliament is controlled by the opposition. So they were to denounce him and impeach him. Then
which is why he's been impeached. But let's also talk about the Constitutional Court process, because right now the Constitutional Court just got 2 additional judges. Earlier only 6 were left when there should be 9. So I guess hearings can now proceed, and the date has also been set as the 14th of January as the first set of arguments that will take place as far as Yoon Suk Yeol's impeachment is concerned, and he's required to be there himself physically. Do you think that he will go, because once again he becomes vulnerable to being arrested if this warrant is extended?
Yeah, I think the bigger problem is now the public, because there can be some confrontation in between, because there will be, as in the earlier president's impeachment, the candlelights whistle for a month. So I think the whole night, the demonstrations, they are already planned by the Progressive Party, and this crisis of the Constitutional Court is one. The date given is the 14th January, and from now on till 14th January, what will happen, I think that's very important. And the division among the Korean political elite is complicating the process, because the person who is now in charge, acting president, actually he works on the behest of the conservatives. So he will not fully resolve the issue and try to save the president. And this is the core of the problem, that the conservatives, they want to hang on to power, and the progressives, they are not going to leave. So the earlier president, Park Geun-hye, she was the daughter of the president Park Chung-hee, she has to go to jail. And I think that destiny waits for him as per the progressives. But the conservatives, they see that somehow they can derail this process, they can utilize the divide between not only the public but among the judges that are in the Constitutional Court.
So what does this mean? What does this mean for Korea's future, the future of not only political stability but even democracy, considering that if this impeachment is upheld, then elections will have to be called, but it seems that it will all take not just weeks but could also take months.
Yeah. So this dragging on already has impacted the currency value. Korean won is 9 years low, and I think that's going to impact Korean economy, which is export-oriented economy. However, as Korea looks from the outside, they have been in Korea for a decade, but all these things, they look very disturbing. But Korean system is very resilient, and Korean economic system will not get impacted in a manner that many people they can anticipate. Of course, there is some kind of confusion, something is there, but in Korea, the demonstrations, the political crisis somehow does not impact their economic planning, their economic targets that they have, their exports orders, all these things will go as it is planned.
All right. All right. We'll have to leave it there at the moment. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor from JNU.